Hello and welcome to the AWS Academy Cloud Security Foundations course. This first module provides an introduction to the course. The module is broken into sections, each with its own video. This section provides information about the prerequisites and objectives of the course. This course requires a strong foundation in IT concepts and skills. To ensure success in this course, you should have completed the AWS Academy Cloud Foundations course or have equivalent experience. You should also have a working knowledge of distributed systems, general networking concepts, and multi-tier architectures. You should also be familiar with cloud computing concepts. After completing the course, you should be able to identify security benefits and responsibilities of using the AWS Cloud and use the identity and access management features of AWS. You should also be able to describe how to secure network access to AWS resources, explain the available methods for encrypting data at rest and in transit, and determine which AWS services can be used for monitoring and incident response. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching. This section provides an overview of the modules and modalities in this course. This course consists of the modules listed on this slide. The modules are designed to support the course objectives. The course is presented using a combination of slides, activities, demonstrations, and hands-on labs. Slides are the primary delivery method and are present for every module. The remaining modalities are distributed as seen on the slide. You can assess your progress throughout this course by completing the knowledge checks and practice tests included with the course materials. Both assessment types are drawn from material found in the slides and the student guide notes. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching. This section provides information about the AWS Certified Security Specialty certification. While this course will introduce you to many aspects of security in AWS, it will not fully prepare you for the certification exam. Review the AWS Certified Security Specialty Exam Guide for additional information regarding the certification. You can also find additional exam preparation resources in the Bridging to Certification module of this course. AWS recommends that you have at least 5 years of IT security experience in designing and implementing security solutions prior to attempting the AWS Certified Security Specialty exam. You should also have 2 or more years of hands-on experience in securing workloads. A video is available to describe the fictional scenario that the modules in this course are built around. The scenario provides a way to explore topics of cloud computing security in the context of relatable business needs. This scenario is intended to provide an example of real-world applicability of the technical concepts that you will learn in the course. You can find this video within this module section of the course materials. You'll now complete the AWS Documentation Scavenger Hunt. The purpose of this brief activity is to acclimate you to locating information in the AWS documentation, which will support your learning experience throughout the course. Use the AWS documentation website at docs.aws.amazon.com to answer the following questions. Feel free to pause the video after each question and challenge yourself to discover the answer on your own. First, where can you find a link to the AWS CloudTrail user guide? Pause the video now if you want to find the answer yourself. From the main documentation page, go to the Management and Governance section and choose the AWS CloudTrail link. The AWS CloudTrail documentation page has a link to the user guide. Second, where would you find information about managing accounts in the AWS Security Hub user guide? From the main documentation page, go to the Security, Identity, and Compliance section and choose the AWS Security Hub link. Choose the AWS Security Hub User Guide link. In the navigation pane for the user guide, choose Managing Accounts. Next, which section of the website has Quick Start guides for security, identity, and compliance? To find these Quick Start guides, go to the General Resources section of the main documentation page and choose the Quick Starts link. In the filters, under Content Type, select AWS Quick Starts. Then, under Technology Category, select Security and Compliance. Quick Start guides for security, identity, and compliance are listed. Where can you find links to learn how active AWS customers are using AWS within their organizations? On the main documentation page, go to the General Resources section and choose the Case Studies link. On the Customer Success Stories page, scroll down to the Cards section. Here, you can apply filters to find case studies based on location, industry, use case, and other characteristics. Finally, how might you navigate to the technical guide titled AWS Security Incident Response Guide? There are multiple ways to find this guide. One option is to go to the General Resources section on the main documentation page and choose the AWS White Papers link. On the AWS White Papers and Guides page, in the filters, under Content Types, select Technical Guide. Under Technology Categories, select Security, Identity, and Compliance. The AWS Security Incident Response Guide is one of the listed resources. That brings us to the end of this section and the end of this module. Thanks for watching. Maria is the Chief Technology Officer, or CTO, of a mid-sized regional bank, AnyBank. The bank has been a fixture in the community for over 100 years and has maintained an impeccable reputation for stability and sound business practices. As technology has changed, AnyBank has attempted to keep up with the pace to remain competitive. The new Chief Information Officer, or CIO, John, has tasked Maria to explore options to modernize their applications and infrastructure. However, they also need to maintain the security that's required to conform with local, state, and federal banking regulations. After thorough research, Maria determined that migrating most of the bank's infrastructure to AWS would be the most cost-effective way to achieve the CIO's goals. John is intrigued by Maria's proposal and has agreed to a series of meetings for Maria to present her case for migrating to AWS. Maria is determined to prepare herself as well as possible to address the questions and concerns that will surely arise during those sessions.
Welcome to the Introduction to Security on AWS module. The first section provides an introduction to the module. At the end of this module, you should be able to identify security features and benefits of cloud computing, identify the security principles that the AWS Cloud is structured around, and identify which part of an application the user is responsible to secure in the cloud. The module is broken into sections, each with its own video. Let's discuss how the concepts in this module are applicable to the bank business scenario. For her first meeting with John, Maria decides to present information about the foundations of cloud security and the AWS shared responsibility model. This will be an excellent way to build trust and rapport with her new supervisor. By beginning with the foundations of cloud security, she can assess John's comfort level with the subject matter while providing the necessary information to make her business case. Maria decides to introduce the shared responsibility model to explain how both the bank and AWS will protect the bank's resources with multiple layers of security. She intends to use the model to demonstrate the areas where the bank or AWS will be responsible. Thanks for watching. This section discusses security in the AWS Cloud. So what are the benefits of cloud computing on AWS? First, trade fixed expenses for variable expense. Pay only when you consume computing resources and only for how much you consume. Second, benefit from massive economies of scale. By using cloud computing, you can achieve a lower variable cost than you can get on your own. Because usage from hundreds of thousands of customers is aggregated in the cloud, providers such as AWS can achieve higher economies of scale, which translates into lower pay-as-you-go prices. Third, stop guessing on your capacity needs. When you make a capacity decision prior to deploying an application, you often have either idle resources or limited capacity. With cloud computing, you can access as much or as little capacity as you need and scale up and down as required with only a few minutes of notice. Next, increase speed and agility. In a cloud computing environment, you reduce the time to make resources available to your developers from weeks to minutes. This results in a dramatic increase in agility for the organization because the cost and time that it takes to experiment and develop is significantly lower. Stop spending money to run and maintain data centers. Focus on projects that differentiate your business. With cloud computing, you can focus on your own customers rather than on the heavy lifting of racking, stacking, and powering servers. And finally, go global in minutes. Easily deploy your application in multiple regions around the world with a few clicks. This means you can provide lower latency and a better experience for your customers at a minimal cost. The triad of confidentiality, integrity, and availability, or CIA, was originally developed to highlight the important aspects of information security within an organization. Confidentiality refers to limiting information access and disclosure to authorized users and preventing access by unauthorized people. Integrity involves maintaining the consistency, accuracy, and trustworthiness of data over its entire lifecycle. And availability refers to the readiness of information resources. An information system that is not available when you need it is almost as useless as no information system at all. At AWS, we strive to make security as familiar as what you are doing today. You can bring the same security models that you use today in your environment over to the cloud. This includes providing controllability, auditability, and visibility to your resources in the cloud. Additionally, AWS offers several services and tools to equip you with the agility and automation that you need, so you can adapt to cloud-level scaling and take security to the next level. AWS provides methods and tools to manage access control for users, groups, and roles, provide temporary security credentials, and control encryption keys. The AWS Identity and Access Management Service, or IAM, helps you securely control access to AWS resources for your users. Use IAM to control who can use your AWS resources, what resources they can use, and in what way. You can grant different permissions to different people for different resources. For example, you might allow some users complete access to Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud, or Amazon EC2, and other AWS services. For other users, you can allow read-only access to just some Amazon Simple Storage Service, or Amazon S3 buckets, permissions to administer only some EC2 instances, or access to your billing information but nothing else. You can use the AWS Security Token Service, or AWS STS, to create and provide trusted users with temporary security credentials that can control access to your AWS resources. Organizations typically rely on regular audits, either internal or external, of their environments to ensure conformity with policies and regulations. AWS services such as AWS CloudTrail can help you answer questions such as what actions did a specific user take over a given time period. The first step to secure your assets is to know what they are. AWS offers tools to keep track of and monitor your AWS resources so you have instant visibility into your inventory and your user and application activity. For example, by using AWS Config, you can discover existing AWS resources, export a complete inventory of your AWS resources with all configuration details, and determine how a resource was configured at any point in time. These capabilities can help you with compliance auditing, security analysis, resource changing tracking, and troubleshooting. The increase in agility and the ability to perform actions faster at a larger scale and at a lower cost does not invalidate well-established principles of information security. Automatically scaling to ensure high availability during a security attack is one of the ways that AWS provides agility to meet needs. AWS designs data centers with excess bandwidth so that if a major disruption occurs, sufficient capacity is available to load balance traffic and route it to the remaining sites to minimize the impact on customers. By building security tools from the ground up, AWS can automate many of the routine tasks that security experts normally spend time on. For example, by using AWS CloudFormation, you can have AWS deploy an environment in a secure and reproducible manner. Here are the key takeaways for this section of the module. The triad of confidentiality, integrity, and availability, or CIA, was originally developed to highlight the important aspects of information security within an organization. AWS offers several tools and features to help you meet the security objectives around controllability, auditability, visibility, agility, and automation. Thanks for watching. This section describes security design principles. The security pillar of the AWS Well-Architected Framework describes 7 design principles. Let's look at each one. First, build your security culture on the principle of least privilege. Only grant access to the data and other resources to the people who really need that access. Another best practice is to enforce separation of duties with appropriate authorization for each interaction with your AWS resources. By reducing or even ending reliance on long-term credentials, you can diminish your attack surface area. You can use temporary credentials and require identities to dynamically acquire them. In AWS, IAM is the primary service for permissions management. The service provides the ability to control user and programmatic access to AWS services and resources. The second principle is to enable traceability. With AWS, you can monitor, alert, and audit actions and changes to your environment in real time. AWS provides native logging as well as services that can provide greater visibility in near real time for your occurrences in your environment. Integrate these tools with your existing logging and monitoring solutions. Know what workloads are deployed and operational so that you can audit and ensure that the environment is operating at expected security governance levels and meeting required security standards. Several AWS services can help you with traceability. CloudTrail logs, AWS API calls, and Amazon CloudWatch provide monitoring of metrics with alarming, and AWS Config provides configuration history. Rather than only focusing on the protection of a single outer layer, apply a defense in-depth approach with other security controls. This means to apply security to all layers, such as your network, application, and data store. For example, you can require users to strongly authenticate to an application. In addition, ensure that users come from a trusted network path and require access to the decryption keys to process encrypted data. One of the benefits of using AWS is that our services are also built for integration. You can use several AWS services together to provide the most secure environment for your data and resources. AWS customers are able to tailor or harden the configuration of an EC2 instance, Amazon Elastic Container Service or Amazon ECS Container, or AWS Elastic Beanstalk instance, and persist this configuration to an immutable Amazon Machine Image or AMI. Then, all new virtual servers or instances launched with this AMI receive the hardened configuration, whether they are launched manually or through automatic scaling. AWS develops purpose-built security tools that can help you to automate many of the routine tasks that security experts normally spend time on. You can automate security engineering and operations functions by using a comprehensive set of APIs and tools. You can fully automate identity management, network security, and data protection and monitoring capabilities, and deliver them by using popular software development methods that you already have in place. In the AWS Cloud, you can also turn your infrastructure into code. You can automate the creation of trusted environments to conduct deeper investigations and forensics. You can run incident response, simulations, and use tools with automation to increase your speed for detection, investigation, and recovery. By automating deployments and maintenance, you can remove operator access to reduce your attack surface area. AWS provides services and features that help you to protect your data at rest and in transit. Safeguards include fine-grained access controls to objects, creating and controlling the encryption keys that are used to encrypt your data, selecting appropriate encryption methods, integrity validation, and appropriate data retention. Another best practice to help you manage protection is to implement a tagging schema to classify your data into sensitivity levels. Construct mechanisms to protect data in transit, such as using virtual private network or VPN, and transport layer security or TLS connections. Even with mature preventive and detective controls, you should put processes in place to respond to and mitigate the potential impact of security incidents. The architecture of your workload strongly affects your ability to operate effectively during an incident. Isolate or contain systems and restore operations to a known good state. Put tools and access in place ahead of a security incident, then routinely practice incident response through game days. Let's look at some practices that facilitate effective incident response. First, use detailed logging. Logs can contain important content such as file access and changes. Next, automatically process events and invoke tools that automate responses through the use of AWS APIs. And finally, pre-provision tooling and a clean room by using CloudFormation. This provides the ability to carry out forensics in a safe, isolated environment. Reduce your exposure to unintended access by hardening operating systems and minimizing the components, libraries, and externally consumable services in use. Start by reducing unused components, such as operating system packages and applications. Configure security groups and network access control lists, known as network ACLs, in your VPCs to help reduce the attack surface of your applications. Certain AWS services, such as AWS Autoscaling and Amazon CloudFront, help applications to scale to absorb common infrastructure layer attacks, such as UDP reflection attacks and SIEM floods. By using techniques such as automatic scaling, you can absorb larger volumes of application layer attacks. The key takeaways from this section of the module are the design principles for security in the cloud. Apply the principle of least privilege, enable traceability, secure all layers, automate security, protect data in transit and data at rest, prepare for security events, and finally, minimize the attack surface. Thanks for watching. Now time to review the module and wrap up with a practice certification exam question. You should be able now to identify security features and benefits of cloud computing, identify the security principles that the AWS Cloud is structured around, and identify which part of an application the user is responsible to secure in the cloud. Now let's look at a sample exam question. According to the shared responsibility model, who is responsible for configuring security groups rules to determine which ports are open to an EC2 Linux instance? Option A, AWS is responsible for configuring security group rules. Option B, the customer is responsible for configuring security group rules. Option C, security group rules are not needed. Option D, AWS is responsible for configuring security group rules and the customer must open ports to the instance. Note the keywords stated in the question. The question has to do with configuring security group rules. Consider the answer choices and rule them out based on these key requirements. We'll pause a few seconds before discussing the correct answer. So how do these answer choices compare to the requirements? Let's consider the first choice. Security group rules filter network traffic based on protocols and port numbers. According to the AWS shared responsibility model, the customer is responsible for configuring networking traffic protection. Therefore, this answer is incorrect. For the second answer, we know that the customer is responsible for configuring networking traffic protection. This seems likely to be the answer, but let's make sure one of the other answers isn't a better choice. For the third answer, security group rules are important for adding an additional layer of security to your VPC. Therefore, this answer is incorrect. And for the final choice, we know that the customer is responsible for configuring networking traffic protection, so this isn't the correct choice either. Let's see what the correct answer is. The correct answer is option B. The customer is responsible for configuring security group rules. That concludes this module. Thanks for watching.
Welcome to the Securing Access to Cloud Resources module. This first section provides an introduction to the module. At the end of this module, you should be able to authorize access to AWS services by using AWS Identity and Access Management, or IAM, users, groups, and roles, and differentiate between different types of security credentials in IAM. You should also be able to authorize access to AWS services by using identity-based and resource-based policies. Identify other AWS services that provide authentication and access management services, and centrally manage and enforce policies for multiple AWS accounts. This module is broken into sections, each with its own video. Let's discuss how the concepts in this module are applicable to the bank business scenario. Maria's initial meeting with John went well. John has a strong grasp of the fundamentals of cloud security, and they want to use the shared responsibility model as a focal point for their discussions. John agrees that migrating to the AWS Cloud could be a smart move to modernize the bank's business operations. However, he has reservations about how the bank could adequately secure online access for their members while also maintaining internal security protocols. John is particularly focused on restricting internal access to critical resources as much as possible. In preparation for their next meeting, Marie decides to focus on the AWS services for identity and access management, including services that could be used to roll out a planned mobile app. She also plans to discuss security best practices such as the principle of least privilege to address his concerns about access. This module focuses on the platform, applications, and identity and access management portion of the shared responsibility model, which the customer is responsible to secure. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching.